Baldur's Gate 3 unintentionally, completely, and unequivocally took a hot steaming dump on AAA companies when it was released. Then those big company devs screamed and hissed from the attention as they tried to tell players not to hold them to the same standard as Larian Studios. Baldur's Gate 3 then went on to gain 8 nominations and win 7 Golden Joystick Awards, the biggest of which was, of course, Ultimate Game of the Year. And now, just like Larian shook up the gaming industry with Baldur's Gate 3, Intrepid Studios is poised to shake up the MMO genre with Ashes of Creation. Other MMO companies may want to stock up on toilet paper. Now, obviously, these two titles are completely different games and you can't compare them directly, and they're not even in the same genre, blah blah blah. But what we can compare between these two companies are the philosophical foundations that the games are built on, the ideals that are at the heart of both of these companies, which are arguably even more important than which one will let you be diddled by a bear. Intrepid Studios, much like Larian, simply want to make a game that they're excited to play and develop it with their player community in mind, because I'm pretty sure that as we're running around the world, we could actually get PvP'd to death by Steven himself.
Is it cold? Cold? Okay, that was cold.
After being disenchanted by the MMO genre of today with decade-old games hanging around even though they're graphically and mechanically outdated, 2 Korean MMOs made famous for fleecing their player base of their time and money as hard as possible, and everything in between, Steven Sharif decided to make Ashes of Creation, and the Intrepid dev team is making it a reality. Thanks to the open development that Intrepid has gone with, the player base gets to be an active participant in the development of the game, and as systems are developed and iterated upon, the future players of Ashes can see and imagine how they're going to react or how they're going to interact with those systems in the future. I, for example, want to build an alliance of artisans and control a scientific node before gaining enough wealth to take control of an economic node and facilitate sieges between guilds. I want to run the organization that guilds come to when they want help accomplishing various goals in the game. It's a wonderful idea even if I never actually accomplish that goal. I could also live the simple life and master a craft that isn't as popular or profitable, but learn the deepest secrets of those crafts and create things that other players may never see. Who knows, but that's the point. Baldur's Gate 3 gives players an immense level of freedom. It allows players to make choices that impact the world around the player and forces them to live with those choices. The node system of Ashes of Creation and the dynamic world that it creates is unlike anything I've ever seen in an MMO before, but it certainly looks like the freedom I experienced in my first playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. And if that is genuinely how the game feels to play after it's released, then game devs from other companies are going to have to once again try to gaslight the gaming community into believing that Ashes of Creation is also an anomaly. Once upon a time, Final Fantasy XIV had a cataclysmic event that changed the world, but that was a result of the game being really bad at launch, and the devs rebuilding the game from the ground up after burning it to the ground, literally. If the world Intrepid is creating succeeds in giving players even a fraction of what they're promising at a reasonable quality, there's no doubt in my mind that it will make other MMO developers take a very close look at Ashes of Creation and improve their own titles from what they observe. PAX Day is at an earlier stage of development compared to Ashes of Creation and has a similar plan for player freedom and choice, and I guarantee that Mainframe will be taking notes from Intrepid as well as its own information from its recent alpha test in order to improve the player experience for their own game. This can only turn out to be a good thing for players and the companies of both games. Monetization is always a point of contention, and in my opinion, Intrepid seems to be on the player-friendly side of things with a subscription-based model and a cosmetic shop on the side. There are a lot of ideas and concerns I have for that system and the cosmetics, but that's not really important right now. If their monetization systems feel fair for the gameplay that's being offered in Ashes of Creation, Intrepid is going to build themselves a level of success the MMO genre hasn't seen since World of Warcraft. And if its recent season of discovery is any indication, MMO players are absolutely dying for a change in the decades-old MMO formula. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. You're welcome.